Hello and welcome to the channel. Something a little bit different today. I've not made a video for just over a month for sort of personal reasons. To be honest, lockdown it's taken it out of me a lot, and I find it very difficult at the minute to motivate myself, and there was other stuff, personal stuff with going on. I haven't been myself in terms of sort of health and things like that, and that's all I'm gonna go into about that, because again that's stuff I don't need to go into detail in. But I think in the long term I'll be okay. I think it's just been a crazy year this year, and then when you factor all these other things into it, it gets very tiresome, and it's physically and mentally draining. But I don't want to come on here and talk about that stuff. I just thought I'd mention that and say that that's why I haven't posted recently. But today I want to talk about something that's very important to me. Today I want to talk about my football club, Manchester United Football Club, and the negativity that surrounds Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the club at this moment in time. Now, the fan base, I would say, I'd say it's split. It's 50-50. Some people are Ole in, some people are Ole out. I'm Ole in. I've been Ole in from the start. Do I think the club rushed into appointing him off the back of that great run that we went at the beginning? Absolutely. I think they rushed into it after the high of that incredible comeback against PSG. What an incredible performance that was. It was dogged, we were determined, and we went there and we got a result, after being 2-0 down in the first leg. And then performances just sort of dropped off. Now, I don't know what you would put this down to. Some people say, "Oh, Ole's not good enough." For me, that always happens when you get a new manager, especially midway through the season. We've seen it before. If a team is struggling at the lower end of the table, they get a new manager, they get a bounce, they get a run of results, and then they survive the next season. It's just not the same. With me, I think it came down to the players, the intensity in the play it just went up from where it was under Mourinho. The style of play that Ole wanted to play, the way that he wanted to play, that was different. So, and effectively, I think when we lost the Arsenal game, we somehow, some way, I don't know why, the performances just dropped off, and I think it comes down to fitness. I think we lost momentum, and really, that run was just papering over the cracks, really. The problems that were within the team. Ole wanted to play in a completely different way than Mourinho played. And I think this hit a lot of the players. This was a reality check for a lot of the players. We realised that a lot of the players couldn't play the way that Ole wanted to play. So I think it came down to fitness, I think it came down to fatigue, and I think it came down to a reality check of these players just, a lot of them just not good enough. So then we go into last season. Ole got some of the players that he wanted, not all of the players that he wanted. And at the start of the season, the minimum target is the top four. First half of the season, we struggled. Second half of the season went on a fantastic run. I think it was 14 games unbeaten. And was it 14 or 15? But either way, we overturned a 14-point deficit. and we finished third. People say it's on goal difference, doesn't matter. Finished third. That was the minimum that we expected from Ole to get in the top 4. Finished third. We get to 3 semi-finals. Semi-finals don't matter in the long run. But that's, so I think last season was a good first full season for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. A lot of people put this down to the fact that we signed Bruno Fernandes. Now, it doesn't matter who a manager signs, he still has to pick the team. He still has to pick the formation. He still has to pick the tactics. He still has to lay out the game plan. He has to go through everything with the players. So to say that it's just because we bought one player, don't get me wrong. I love Bruno. I think he is our best player at the moment, and he's the catalyst for all the good that we do on the pitch. But I don't think you can just say, oh, it's because we've got Bruno. Bruno does such an important job, and he's such an important player for us. But again, Ole has to pick the tactics. Ole has to pick the team. Ole has to pick the formation. Ole has to lay everything out for these players. So I think you have to give Ole a lot of credit for the job that he does. Of course, the media don't do this. A lot of fan channels don't do this. Last season, and this isn't because I've got an agenda against any other managers. Last season, I think Chelsea lost 12 games. We finished above Chelsea last season. There was no great questioning or criticism of Frank Lampard. There was none really. It was sort of like, oh, he's going to need to get his own players in. He's going to need to do this, do that. No, I don't have a problem with Chelsea and Lampard. I think they play good football, and more power to them. But why is there not this questioning of other managers? We've seen it with Arteta now. Now, in terms of Europa League, great. But in terms of the league, they've lost 6 out of their last 8 games. There is no real criticism of Arteta in the way that people criticise and question and demonise, to some extent, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, all his achievements as a coach, at United after his retirement, all his achievements in Norway, forget what you say about the league, he still has to, he's learning his trade. People look at that very short time at Cardiff, where they're on a hiding to nothing, and that is what is held against him. It's just this, he was at Cardiff and mulled it. But they do not look at what he's doing at the club, all the good that he does, the changing of the culture, the way that we play. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's frustrating that we are inconsistent. Very frustrating that we can turn up for 30 minutes in a game and go on and win it and not perform for the full 90, or perform for 3 games at a very high level and drop off for the other 4, just off the top of my head. So this inconsistency is frustrating. It frustrates me. And look, Ole will sometimes make decisions that I question, but he's going to make mistakes. Managers make mistakes. Just off the top of my head, I remember us in 2012, we needed a result against Manchester City. We'd squandered that game against Everton when we drew 4-4. And you never question Fergie. But I remember at the time, Valencia had been playing really well and he brought in Park. And we lost that game. Even the great man himself will pick a player or make a decision that you question. Everyone makes mistakes. On the subject of last week's game against PSG, I thought we came out we show them too much respect. Don't only started on PSG. I think they're a hugely overrated team. They are one of the richest clubs in the world, playing in a league that's effectively it's not the most competitive league, is it? And they've got sort of some of the best players in the world, hired hands, mercenaries. They win it every year, every other year, and then they show up in the Champions League. And with the exception of last year, where they they got to the final, they underachieve, and they play within themselves. Now that game last week, because we allowed them to, we've seen it twice where they have underperformed against us. They've not been at whatever their best is. Of course, if you allow the quickest players in the world to play and run at you, then they're going to do that. Last week I saw a team that were fantastic when we went down to 10 men. When we had a player sent off for what shouldn't have been a second yellow card. Now, should Fred have gone in the first half? Absolutely, red card. You can't do that. You can't, whether you're pushing your head towards another player or whatever, you just cannot do that. Pepe went for Arsenal in the league against Leeds, and Fred should have gone last week against PSG. From what I understand of the rules, you can review, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can review a red card incident, which he did for VAR. So the rules say, apparently, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, that you can question that. Second half, Fred comes on. A lot of people say, he should have taken him off. Fred gets the ball. He gets the ball. And the referee gives him a second yellow and he sends him off. Now, before that, we're 2-1 down. But regardless, the referee, because of the rules of VAR, cannot go and review that second yellow card. That makes absolutely no sense. VAR is an absolute joke. But before that red card and before that second goal, we're in complete control. If Martial puts that chance away, we go on and win the game. We definitely get a result, I've no doubt about that, because we're in control and PSG are playing within themselves. So a lot of people want to give PSG credit for some well-worked goals, and they were, great goals, fantastic play. But really, were they exceptional? Did they play us off the park? Because there are games this year where we've lost, and really it's been down to ourselves. There's been games where we've not shown up, where I've had to go, the other team deserved to win. Last week, I can honestly say, PSG, we gave them that game. That was the one that got away. So they took advantage, and they should have. We shot ourselves in the foot. But that's not down to Ole. You can't just put it down to the manager not bringing a player. Other players were on yellow cards. In the past, do you think in the past, when Roy Keane would get a yellow card in the first half, do you think Fergie would just take him off at half time? No. Do you think Paul Scholes gets a yellow card in a game in the first half, and the referee and Fergie goes, I'm going to take him off now. Well, I'll take off my best players. Now, Fred's not our best player, but he's an important player, and he does a really important job for us. So I think people need to get off the soapbox and just need to move away from this idea that it was Ole's decision that cost us the game. Now, on the subject of that game, so one final point of that game, you listen to fans and you read what they're saying on social media. a lot of people will, you know, and I've probably been one of them in the past that say, "Oh, we're too pragmatic. We don't go out and try and win the game. We don't." But you know, last week we went out to try and win the game, with the exception of the early stage of the game. I feel like we went out to try and win that game, and we were open. And some people say, "Oh, we weren't pragmatic enough against PSG. Oh, we weren't pragmatic. We were too open." But if we'd have sat back and just defended for 90 minutes, people would have said, "Oh, well, we aren't playing the United way. We're not playing the United way. We should be going at them. We should be getting at PSG." You know, what do fans actually want? I'd love people to let me know in the comments. What do fans actually want? Because I can tell you now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing the absolute best that he can do with the players that he's got. And for us to be 5 points off the top with a game in hand, and look, that position in the league does not reflect our performances this season, but we're getting results. And we used to say, if you can get a result, I remember under Fergie, we used to say, if you can get a result without playing particularly well, that's the mark of a good team. Now, do we only say that? Do we only say that when a team is, you know, at the top of the league or near the bottom? Does it count for nothing because it's Manchester United? Again, there's this agenda. There's an agenda that people have with Ole. Because I can tell you now, if Poch came in and we'd gone on this and we'd collected, we'd collected the most points since January, people would say that was an unbridled success. And, oh, well, Poch needs time. Now, I like Pochettino, but I need people to just understand that he's not the answer to all of our problems. Before people start pointing the finger at Ole, before people start putting everything on him, on his shot, and it's a huge responsibility, I'm sure he can take it. Before people start doing that, they need to understand that there are problems that go beyond what's happening on the pitch, beyond our performances. We all know that there are huge structural problems at the football club, beyond what you or I really understand. We only know it through what we see on the pitch. We only know it through, we don't get, we've had multiple managers since Ferguson that have failed, that haven't got their targets, that have got players that they didn't ask for. You know, we only see it through numerous failed transfer windows. But there are other problems at that club. You know, and a trophy would be fantastic. I would love Ole to win a trophy. But whether that happens or not, I don't know. You and me don't know. But there are problems beyond what's happening in terms of performance of that. And people should just sort of take a step back and assess what's really going on. And I think if people did that, maybe they would give Ole more respect, or a bit more respect than what they give him. Because, you know, his record speaks for itself. Are we inconsistent? Yes. Is it frustrating? Yes. Do players need to take more responsibility? Yes. Does Ole make questionable decisions like his substitutions sometimes? Sometimes I think he could make them a little bit earlier. But then you could say that about any manager, can't you? You know, he's not got the keys to the city. Again, I don't have an agenda, but if you look at someone like, if you look at Pep, everywhere he's gone, he's inherited, he's inherited ready-made players. The majority of them are ready-made. Teams that are already successful. Barcelona. If you've got Xavi and Iniesta and Messi and other players already in your team, and you know, effectively it's a 3-horse race every year between Barcelona, Real and Atletico. I mean, really? he goes to Bayern Munich again. Like it's vast majority of the time it's Munich. Sometimes Dortmund will mount a challenge, but the vast majority of the time it's Bayern Munich. Then he goes to City and he's got a core group of players there that are already multiple. They've already won multiple trophies. You know, if you've got Aguero, if you've got Silva, you know, if you've got all these players, company, these workhorses that already know how to get the job done. If you've got these players, if you've got things in place, if you're just given the keys to the city and you can just go out and get whomever you want, then of course the job's going to be easier. But because it's Pep, no one seems to really question it. It's sort of, with Pep, there's the narrative that, well, he's come to this country and he's played this superb brand of football. Great. But Pellegrini and Mancini had already won the league. They'd already, you know, what's he? Yes, he's broken records with some fantastic football, but what's he done beyond that? So I think people hold Ole, and maybe it's because it's Manchester United. You know, you will always get that, but you will always be under scrutiny. But I don't see people don't look at it in that way. They just look at it like, oh well, they're so inconsistent. If we get Pochettino, we get a new manager. We've been here before. We had two of the most successful managers in the game. We had Mourinho, and he couldn't get. And there were times where he couldn't get a tune out of these players. So, you know, give Ole a little bit more credit. Give him perhaps more credit, even more credit for the fact that you say that I hate it when they say, oh, he's a PE teacher. The fact is, you know, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if he's been unsuccessful at Cardiff and you don't respect what he's done at Mould and you don't respect his work in the youth team at United, then maybe you should respect him more for the fact that those things that you don't respect, he's done those things that you don't respect, and he's taken us to third in the league and 3 semi-finals, and he's taken us to wins over multiple wins over PSG, Manchester City, you know, Chelsea. He beat Spurs last season. You know, so just step back and think about why you have this agenda against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Why there is this continual criticism. You know, look at the structure of the club, look at the problems beyond what's happening on the pitch. And maybe then you'll come to some kind of a rational opinion. Maybe what you're thinking will be more rational. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, of course. Leave your comments below. Leave any thoughts on the video. Hit the subscribe button and the like button. I'd love to have a chat with football fans in general, United fans, any fans. And until next time, I'll see you up soon.